Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Lead Podcast. My name's Kelly Grogan. Super excited to have you join us today. We've got one of the brightest and most passionate in the industry with us. And obviously, we've also got Matt, one of the other brighter and passionate people in the industry. Matt, how's it going today?
It's going great. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. It's great to have Brittany as our guest today and Kelly for you to help drive this conversation. I just can't wait to jump in.
Yeah, Matt, have you ever had the pleasure of having Cowboy Chicken before?
I have not. It is on my list. I have travels. I am in the US for the next 6 weeks. So it is on my list.
I'm
But
gonna
it's
hold you
not
to
the
that,
reason why
Matt.
I have it is because I'm in Toronto.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I have it.
Not there yet, but I have had the pleasure of the secret menu items, the Nashville hot chicken, so definitely get your hands on that, and I will say, one of the powerhouses behind Cowboy Chicken inside of the restaurant industry today, one shouting it from the rooftops and making sure everybody wants to get their hands on Cowboy Chicken. We've got Brittany Mercer. Brittany, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I always get a little nervous doing these things that I'm pushing outside of my comfort zone, and it makes it so much easier to have you on the call, Matt, and of course you, Kelly. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, gosh, Brittany, that's what I think that's what this is all about is that we know this isn't easy. So we appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us today. You've got an amazing career path and one that I think is such an inspiration to so many. And so I'd love to start there. Talk to us, Brittany. How did you get started in the industry and how did you end up where you are today?
Yes, interestingly enough, I was in college working on my associates in humanities. I wanted to with people. I've always known that I wanted to work with people and I wanted to go directly into social work. And in my third year, I realized that I was taking everything home. And so I was dating a guy at the time, shout out Jason Blevins and Papa John's. But that had transitioned from Papa John's to Slotsky's, and I dropped out. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. And he says to me, look, you're great. I really need some delivery drivers, and you can pick up the extra cash. So I said, sure, why not? And I started delivery driving for Schlotsky's. This would be 14 and a half years ago. And I worked my way up from there. I had a love of it, just beating the stoplight every single time, everything being trackable down to the minute. So I still have a really interesting passion and understanding and heart for delivery drivers and the vendors that we get to work for as our DSPs right now. But that evolved into me dipping my toe in catering and kind of putting some feelers out there, moving to the Albert Restaurant Group for Slotsky's in Texas, covering a couple different regions with them, and then having a wonderful mentor named Steve Gudros, who helped build catering at Jason's Deli and at Schlotsky's. And one day he looked at me and he said, well, what are you gonna do? Like, what do you want in the next 3 years? And I hadn't thought like that before. I was just kind of living in the moment and being present. And essentially, he kicked me out of the nest. And I had a really great interview with Sean Kennedy and Chuck Ziesnis at Cowboy Chicken. We just like saw eye to eye on everything, and we were going in the right direction in the same vehicle. And 8.5 years later, I'm here. Turns out that all of these Cowboy Chicken guys used to work for Jason's Deli, used to work for Steve too. Albert Restaurant Group unfortunately sold their Slotsky's locations, and I hired Steve. So now he works for me, which is really, really insane. But I just kind of let him do his thing, and yeah, things are going really well. So I'm happy, and I can't help but shout Cowboy Chicken from the rooftops because they've just put me in a position of growth and have really fostered my passion. And so, and I get to be in this position where I'm talking to great people like you.
That's, I mean, amazing, Brittany, and I can feel the gratitude just coming from you, and I think that that is something that we don't always talk about in the leadership space. Of that gratitude is what can kind of help propel your career. You know, when you think about the last 8 years that you've spent at Cowboy Chicken, from where you started to sort of where you are today. How did you get there? How were you able to sort of advance in your positions with the company and those roles?
Well, I'm going to cheat a little bit here. I know you sent me some pre questions to prepare. And one of the ways that you described me, and I thought, man, I've never really thought about it this way before, but curious. I'm comfortable with not being the smartest person in the room. I'm actually more comfortable not being the smartest person in the room. I want to be the most hungry person in the room and the most driven person in the room. I want to be the first person to say, "Hey, what's that word mean? I've never heard that word before. Like, teach me," and maybe kind of open the door for other people that may not know to then be comfortable to ask the question because not everybody wants to be first. And so just being hungry for growth, being here for growth, and then finding the things that allow me to help people with my growth. I mean, I'm an overachieving people pleaser. Like at the heart of me, that's what drives me. And so why not food? It makes people happy, it brings people together. And so although I am in some ways a salesperson, it's really kind of just a natural fit for me to say, "Hey, would you like to try the best chicken on the planet? Come to Cowboy Chicken or we'll bring it to you." It really sells itself. And so I feel like at the end of the day, my calling and what keeps me going really just kind of led me to keep pushing towards helping people, helping people eat chicken and helping myself eat more chicken.
It's amazing. And you've got obviously a great team behind you. You've got franchisees, you've got operators, and something that I've really admired about you is that you're not afraid to roll up your sleeves and be in the front lines, packaging 100 box meals or getting that standing behind the register to help with somebody signing up for loyalty. You're so hands on with that. And so when you think about leading with curiosity and helping to teach your teams that or teach your operators with that, how do you make that happen? How do you make them feel heard and sort of take that and put that into practice?
The only way that I know to do that is to roll up your sleeves and get in there with them. I mean, to me, I hate AI for taking this saying, but that's where the magic happens. It's when you roll up your sleeves, you're cutting chicken or you're the lines out the door, hopefully, and you're jumping in and you're running food and you're bussing tables. You really get to see things from uh, your staff's point of view, so to speak. And they get to see a different side of you, the side of you that really understands that every single thing that they touch is important to you. And so when you show that passion for learning what's important to them and making it important to you, it gains a sort of, I think, loyalty. And it's such an honor, really, to be considered a leader. I really just, again, I just want to help, and so I often pray that I am being helpful. Sometimes my inquisitive and curious nature leads me to ask a bunch of questions. But I just think at the end of the day, just being there with them every single day, being guest facing and also staff facing, because there are guests too. Like it's my responsibility to take care of them. I think that that just for the people that that's important to, they kind of glom onto it, and that's where I have found success with our staff.
When you think about that, I love thinking about your staff as your guests. Can you think of a time where, that curiosity enabled you to connect that much further with a team member?
Yes, I I had a goal. I'm gonna shout out our culinary developer and slash area director, um, because everybody at Cowboy Chicken and most brands like us, we have 19 locations. You're gonna wear multiple hats when you sit on the corporate team, and so I had this puzzle piece on the corporate team whenever I joined. His name is Pat Shotwell, and he is an old school operator. Like your job is selling, you bring me the sales, I'll execute, never shall the two meet. You know, have been two ships passing in the night. And when we decided after COVID, really pre-COVID, it was interestingly timed to open our ghost kitchen, Smackbird, which is a Nashville hot chicken concept. Um, there, there was little overhead, but there was also really no staff. Like we were just pulling resources from the Cowboy Chicken corporate team to make this happen. So it was a very small project, and we were in it together as far as bagging orders and frying up chicken tenders ourselves and what should the seasoning process be and how do you market on a third party brand for a ghost kitchen or a virtual brand, or it's changed names so many times, whatever resonates best with the guest. I'm trying to keep up with it. Kelly, that I need your help for that. But again, I was put in a position where I was outside of my comfort zone, but I was curious to learn how to operate better in the back of the house. And so we built it along with Chuck Wiesness and Sean Kennedy from the ground up. And I just remember working late nights with Pat, like, hey, do you want to go home? Like orders are slow. It's not kicking off as quick as we want it to. Let me tweak this marketing. We want to put the stuff in our bags ourselves because we can't train everybody else to do it until we get it right. He's like, I'm not going home unless you're going home. And so that camaraderie and that being in it together, I still feel the passion of that whenever we taste our food, or whenever we get to share it with somebody like Matt, when you come to Cowboy Chicken, I'm going to take you to a location with our secret smack bird in it so we can make sure you do the Hell Smack challenge and I'm going to video it.
I would love
But
it.
it's a lot of fun. I think a piece of the puzzle is fun. A piece of the puzzle is having the right person in the right place and then proving to each other that you're willing to do whatever it takes for each other's success.
I love the lead with curiosity piece. It's one of my favorite quotes is how do we stay curious a little bit longer? So it's from an
Yes.
author, Michael Bungay Stainer from the Coaching Habit. But I think it's such a great approach. And one thing I want to acknowledge is I was in a great mood today. Your energy is making me in a better mood. And I think that's a choice for any leader watching this. I think Brittany is a world-class example of you get to choose how you show up. One thing that we've talked about to start
Thank you.
the podcast is building relationships with our people. You shared up front that you created space and a connection with leaders that you might have reported to, for lack of a better term, that coached you on what is your 3-year vision, or it might be time to leave the nest. There's probably in our audience watching right now saying, how do I create the trust to get into that conversation? Is there any advice you have for an emerging leader of how do they build trust and relationship with those that they report to so they can have some of the conversations like you had?
Oh, that's a really good one.
Totally, I skipped you. I apologize. So
Yeah, no, no, you're fine. Please. I'm really well. At first, I want to give a shout out to Celsius. I don't know if they want to sponsor me, but here's where my energy is coming from today. And I would say there's a maturity curve to where you're at in your career, and you don't always have the option to be surrounded by people that have the same forward like movement as you do. They may not want to go as quickly as you do. They may be in a different, they may be happy or content where they are. Find your like-minded people inside of your establishment, and there's really three levels of relationships that I think that you should have. You should have people that are going through it with you, like I'm here, you're here, we're both right now kind of in the same role, kind of in the same position, learning, and we can share a different camaraderie of you understand me and I understand you. And then you're going to find somebody, and this person, you probably know who this person is. You may not think that they're as approachable as they really are, but chances are if you relate to this person or if you maybe have this person up on a pedestal, there's something in them that's resonating within you. So approach that person, go out on a limb, ask the Kelly Grogans of the world, hey, can I sit in on a call? Or what do you think about this? You're going to be surprised at who is willing to give you their time. So find that person that's where you want to be in 3 to 5 years and make time, whatever that looks like. Maybe it's dinner, maybe it's coffee, maybe it's you're on the conference circuit and you just ask to shadow them a little bit. And then that third relationship is the people that are coming up behind you, that are looking at you, which is a really weird thought, right? I just turned 40 and I'm like, are there people, these young, hungry people, smarter than me people, I feel like, right? That are coming up behind me, looking at me, thinking, man, I wish I could get some of her time. So when that opportunity arises, you say yes. You listen out of curiosity, you listen out of accepting new ideas, and you try to come at it with a, well, don't do this because it's how we've always done it. Like sometimes you need to foster and help somebody with their growth, even though it may not have been a path that you chose. There's so many new and different things that are coming, and so many different platforms, and so much with AI now. Like you're gonna also learn from this person that you feel like maybe is setting you on the pedestal. So that's really all I can say. Like just everybody's a human. Most of us are fantastic. I am an incurable humanist, and just ask the question. Just put yourself out there. Step outside of your comfort zone.
love it. And before I pass it back to Kelly, I'll let you ask the next question, Kelly. But I agree. Kelly's one of those people that I admire. What she's built as an entrepreneur in the last, it's just remarkable. and the relationships and the fashion that she's done it with the integrity. I think she like there's people that we have access to like Kelly that we can look up to. And I look at Kelly say, how do you do it? And she gives me motivation at a distance or as we do our recordings, but it's having people in your network like this. I had to take that opportunity to say it because you laid it out there. But Kelly, I'll turn it back to you to
Oh my God. No, no,
sorry,
no,
sorry,
so
I
good.
yeah, but I
No, 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 no. That I
yeah,
gotta say one thing. One
yeah,
thing. Although crumbs, and I'll give a crumb shout out here, because Kelly is a master of building sales off prem and then within the four walls is amazing. That's not why I had Kelly on have Kelly on a pedestal. It's for reasons like I just experienced in Chicago, where I look around and all of a sudden I am surrounded by these. Now I'm gonna cry. Strong and powerful women, and it's becoming more and more natural. I'm not seeing, oh, there is a female on a panel. I'm so proud. I'm gonna root for her. And don't get me wrong, I love my healed men. And I do, and I appreciate you guys so much. But there's something that helps you feel like you belong in the room when you look around and there are women there.
Something that, Brittany, I truly admire about you within this space is just being a connector of connectors. I have been the recipient of many text messages and emails while getting to introduced or getting to meet other people in the space. Talk to us a little bit about how that drives your, day to day right now, and why connecting is so important to you from a leadership standpoint.
Yeah, it's something that I do naturally. I think I have to say that it's not a part of my leadership strategy. It's one of those like things that comes across as altruistic, but at the end of the day, like that little bit of dopamine hit that I get by introducing somebody who gets it, right? That's I feel like that's a term in the industry culturally. Either you get it or you don't, especially when you're working with restaurant operators. By introducing this person and knowing that somehow they're going to win by knowing this other awesome person, it's really just a personal like dopamine hit for me. So it's not, I thankfully some of the things I'm doing naturally are attributing to some of the success that I'm seeing. But this one is not a strategy and it's not planned. It's just like, oh my gosh, I'm talking to you. You're awesome. Do you know who else you would love? I know this person. I just gotta introduce you.
And it's just so genuine, and I feel like, Brittany, you've got such a way of connecting with teams and team members, and that's why when you do enter in the whether it's the local Cowboy Chicken or it's connecting with team members at the office, there's just such an element of um acceptance of that. Has there been a time where you struggled to connect with somebody? It seems like you could connect with anybody, but has there ever been a time where you struggled to kind of connect with somebody, and how did you overcome that?
great question.
You know, this is a difficult answer for me because I really think that the reason why there are people that I idolize and that are on that pedestal is the amount of transparency. I think Karen Stutz is a really good example of this. When I met her, she was just so humble and down to earth. I'm like, do you know how awesome you are? And so I have to say that, and full transparency, I have horrible stage fright. I have horrible nerves. I'm shaking right now. And I have struggled with self medicating with a drink to help me walk a floor. And so, good or bad, I think as long as there's limitations with that, I can, and I have the preconceived notion that I can control it. That as long as I can have a drink, and maybe sometimes it's not an alcoholic beverage, sometimes it's Celsius, but it just gives me a little bit of liquid courage. So I struggle every day, Kelly. I struggle. I struggled with curling my hair and changing my lipstick twice and grabbing a Celsius before I hopped on this amazing lead podcast with you two. So every day.
And so, like, when you think about that, for somebody that doesn't share potentially like the same energy levels, that does have that stage fright or doesn't know how to connect with people, any advice for them on how they can kind of channel that energy, even if it's not as energetic as you or myself or Matt may be? How can they sort of overcome that?
Yeah. Well, what's really amazing about all of us is that we're different. And so I don't want anybody to try to be like me. I want you to find your own solutions and find what works. But the thing that you have to do to find that solution is just embrace the pain. Sometimes at the end of the day, I tell myself, I love pain. I'm gonna push through this. I eat pain for breakfast. It's gonna be uncomfortable, but because I love it, I'm looking at it of at a way that is gonna allow for me to experience growth. And at the end of the day, it's really an interesting idea because I'm not sure I ever lose with this thought, right? And even if something is doesn't come out in my favor, I'm still winning because I know that I'm learning from it. I'm like, oh, I just learned how to, it didn't kill me. It made me stronger. So I love it. Bring it on. And you're going to have to get outside of your comfort zone. You're going to have to put yourself out there and you're going to have to realize that underneath the surface, we all have our stuff going on. And none of us are perfect. And we're all kind of second guessing ourselves. And some of us are just doing our best until we learn better. So just get out there and do it.
And what I love is just like highlighting leadership. And I think we're in a day and age now where we can talk about some of our challenges, walking a floor, getting on stage and being real. And that really resonated with me because for the bulk of my start of my career, I tried to mirror somebody who I wasn't. And I tried to hide my anxiety and that I'm a natural introvert, although I speak for a living and all these things. But once I got comfortable, and I hope why we're sharing this right now, if you're a leader watching this, you're not alone. But what Brittany just shared is she ran through that wall, and she's a killer, she's a winner, and she's gonna find a way, and she shared that up front, but it's a mindset. If you really watch this back, it's self-belief in the language and how she shows up, and that's something I think part of the side is the internal voice in our heads that we're sharing. I struggle with the exact same things that Brittany we just talked about, and there's power in you sharing because I feel a connection with you, and I hope the audience feels it as well. When it comes to breaking down curiosity, what's one thing that a leader could do inside their four walls of their restaurant today to approach leadership with more curiosity? Because they're a tactical piece, a question.
Spend the day in the life of insert role here. I mean, most of the leaders that I know at one time were the best at what they did, but things have drastically changed so much. There are so many. And all I can do is relate this to what's going on within the four walls. But there's so many checklists and tools and AI and we're supposed to be automating to make our staff's lives better. Are we doing that? We don't really know. Sometimes we're sitting in an ivory tower in front of a laptop making decisions and we're not listening to our people. And that is Cowboy Chicken doesn't have a corporate office. People are always like, "Hey, where do you office out of?" I'm like, "Home or the store?" Keeps us guest facing, keeps us employee facing, right? Which is our other guest. And so spend some time in the life and in the role of, again, it doesn't dishwasher. If you ask Sean Kennedy who the most important person within that four walls is, it's the dishwasher. And why does he feel that way? And can he go back there and wash dishes right now better than that dishwasher? I don't know, but he sure can help. And maybe he can learn some of the struggles and take all that knowledge that you have and combine it with what the reality is of what's going on right now in a day-to-day role. And then that's whenever we win.
When you think about your leadership style and how teams would sort of describe you with that, um, what's one thing you wish somebody had told you about leadership earlier? And what's one way to describe your leadership style today?
Wow, great question.
Yeah, it's a good question. I came into this industry with the preconceived notion that as a female boss, either you were a pushover or you were the B word, which I don't know if I can say on lead, but you know what the B word is. And so I struggled. I struggled so much. I look back and think of all the times that I didn't go with my gut or I didn't go with what I knew was best for that person because I wasn't really listening to them. I was listening to what I thought I should be to come across a specific way in their mind. When that's not what was important. And the best piece of advice and what I try to do today there it's two things. One, I try to just consistently be myself. If and crazy, take me or leave me. I'm loud. Sean would use the word vivacious. I'm nosy because I ask a lot of questions and I'm curious. But they may not take me the right way in the beginning, or they may think that I get fake a lot. I'm consistently this way, people. I'm so sorry. You're welcome. I'm not sure which one you want from me at this point, but as long as I'm consistently myself, they know what to expect, and they know that I'm coming from a place of being genuine and really wanting to hear what they say. So it allowed me to step outside of my anxiety, which, by the way, your anxiety is lying to you, everybody. It's constantly lying to you. So don't believe it. And then just be present and listen and help solve. And the other rule is a rule that I got from Maya Tekel at Science on Call, who is another woman who's just up there, is fantastic. Somebody that I look at like 3 to 5 years from now, I want to have that sense of calm and community that she has. And she brought a word back to me that I hadn't used since middle school, which is whimsy. Like, we're just all here. We're all humans. We're all having a human experience. Like, find the whimsy in it and run with that, because what's your other option? So why not?
Love it. Kelly, so this has been an incredible discussion, and I'm so passionate about just the concept of curiosity, but how you approach it and how real you are. And one thing you shared, it's just a reminder for me to continue to be comfortable in my own skin. So even at 45, as Kelly knows, we've talked about this on a bunch of different episodes. It's just a continuous journey, and I appreciate your candor, your honesty, and your vulnerability. Kelly, what do we have coming up for lead?
Lead June 11th. We're coming to Dallas. We're coming for Cowboy Chicken. We've got her. I believe it is our final lead event for the year, unless we sneak another one in. Um,
I heard San Diego October, so
which,
rumors.
I mean, that sounds like the time I want to be in San Diego.
Yeah.
So sign me up. I will be there. Everybody else should be there. Make sure you follow us on LinkedIn, follow the podcast. Brittany, we can't thank you enough for being so generous with your time and being so authentic with us.
Thank
This was
you.
such an amazing conversation, and so proud to call you a friend in the industry. So thank you.
The honor's mine, Matt and Kelly. Thank you so much again for having me. And I'm looking forward to following both of your successes. And I hope that somebody, even if it's just one person, got something out of this conversation.
Awesome. All
Thank you.
right. See you guys.